Oh,
I don't like to disappoint.
Yeah, he
I'm
made
gonna
it
take these
clear.
off so I don't jingle jangle.
Right.
No?
That's awesome. Well, ladies, we are pretty much live
Okay.
on YouTube right now.
We're not in Virginia
you-
Wine Mix, though.
And we are now live as well on Instagram. And so this is going to be fun. I'm pretty excited. Pretty excited, everyone. We'll wait for everyone to, or folks will just join in, but we'll just get the party started. I have
Cheers.
to. Oh, let me
Cheers.
get in on
Very
that.
nice to meet
I
you.
thank you. I thank you. I thank you. Hey, everybody. It is Thursday, May 8th, 2025. And we're just going to sit down here at Chats around the table and chat about wine. 3 specific wineries we're representing today, but it's a super special day. You see some new faces here on the Chats Live. One you may have seen at
Few
Chats
times,
in
unfortunately.
the past, Miss Hasna Laraisse with the Jackson Family Wines, but we have the pleasure to have with us Katie. Say your last name.
Werthmuller.
Thank you, Werthmuller.
You still don't know how to say it.
You know how it gets when you go live,
I
right?
know.
Hey, Katie is the VP of Education for Jackson Family Fine Wines. It is such a pleasure having you here.
Cheers.
Katie W.
Hey, Dove.
K-Dub is in the house. Let's go. For
Thanks so
sure.
much for having us today.
Yes.
And thank you for coming to the market. Such a great pleasure
Thank
having you
you.
here.
Yes. And thank you to Chats for already supporting, the majority of this lineup.
Indeed.
We're very thankful that you support Jackson Family Wines. And if anybody doesn't know who Jackson Family Wines is, I'll say Kendall Jackson. Kendall Jackson is where we got started in 1982. And over the last few decades, we have accumulated vineyards around the globe, estate sites where we make some single vineyard and single estate wines that really showcase a sense of place, and then wines of multiple places, like a Kendall Jackson Chardonnay that's from coastal California. And today, if anybody didn't know, what month is it?
Oregon Wine Month.
Oregon Wine Month, May, every year. And
Perfect
this
timing, guys.
this isn't something that Jackson
What are the
Family
odds?
Wines made up. This is actually Oregon wineries have put together this month as a month to hone in and showcase and celebrate what Oregon has become in the domestic wine market.
Absolutely.
So,
And
have
can
you
we
been
speak
out?
to that just for a bit? Can you speak to like what makes Oregon just so unique and so special as a wine region?
So, obviously, if you've been to Oregon, you know and you think of Oregon or Washington, and everybody thinks a lot of rain, not a lot of sunshine, but it creates this beautiful, long, cool growing season. So that's one of the reasons. And it's a valley that was basically established millions of years ago. So like the history goes beyond wine growing. It goes to the Missoula floods that came down,
Okay.
brought these grand moraines, these large stones that came through and kind of
where
carved
the name
out
comes
the
from?
valley. Yes. So on the vineyard, you'll see these huge stone monstrosities.
I've seen
that
it
are
in pictures. And to answer a question, no, I have not been out there yet.
Okay,
Oh
you
my
will
gosh.
You have to. You have to.
Well,
We
there
are
you
going
go.
to schedule your
We're going to
visit.
sell more wines as well. Get out there. For sure. that's
But yeah, so we've got two ranges. The Coast Range, which is right along the Pacific Ocean, which, especially if you're tuning in from the East Coast, the Pacific Ocean is a very cold ocean that I live in Southern California, and I go in maybe twice a year because the water is so cold, and the influence that comes, especially when you're in Oregon, down from Alaska
I see.
through
Right.
that Pacific coast, you get a cool oceanic influence. And there's the Coast Range along the water, there's the Cascade Range inland, and then in between that is the Willamette Valley.
Nice.
And so within that, we have multiple sub-AVAs. Most of what we're tasting today is either Yamhill Carlton or Eola Amity Hills. So we have other vineyards that Jackson family owns sprinkled throughout there. But just very cool influence. Again, not a lot of sunshine with Chardonnay and Pinot Noir. Pinot Noir is a thin-skinned grape. Chardonnay, we want to maintain that vibrancy and this bright acidity by not getting it too overly ripe. And that's what Oregon gives us. So we have a nice long hang time. So
Amazing.
and then when you think about sense of place, so there's the place and then there's winemaker style.
Yes.
And so we're going to look at four wineries actually, but 3 winemakers. So Grand Moraine Winery. Grand Moraine and Xena Crown Vineyard were the first two vineyards. So Jackson Family, Oregon's kind of the newer frontier for us.
Okay. Yeah.
We have been in California since 1982, as I mentioned. We've been around the globe in France and Italy, Australia. 2013, we bought Grand Moraine and Xena Crown Vineyards. They were already planted and named. And then we created the wineries around those names.
Amazing.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's start it off for sure.
Sparkling wine.
Indeed.
First one, we'll start with the Grand Moraine Sparkling.
Okay. And this is what, a Brut Rosé? Is it vintage dated?
It's non-vintage.
Non-vintage. Okay.
But when you look on the back label, one of the things I love is that we put a disgorgement date. So we're producing this in method champenois.
Yeah.
So we are doing that secondary fermentation in bottle.
Okay.
Doing the riddling process. This is 48% Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, and then 4% Pinot Meunier.
Oh, nice.
And we always put the blend on the back.
Right.
So
Good.
for the last few bottlings, it's been the same. But if it ever does change, you'll know on the back label. And then we put a bottling number. So then that way, even though it's going to age beautifully, if you ever wanted to know, what's the base wine? Our winemaker, Shane Moore, he has a perpetual reserve of reserve wine that's going into these sparklings. And can you think of anybody else? And domestically, there's champagne houses that have a reserve wine that they're putting, 30 to 50% into their champagnes. But
there's only
domestically,
one other. I
Domestically,
believe, that's doing something like that. Nancy Ireland out at Red Tail Ridge, actually in the Finger Lakes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Shout out to Nancy Ireland. She has, I think the sparkling wine she's doing that with is called Perpetual Change.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yep.
Because a lot of times I talk about Roederer, who also has ties to champagne, so I think of them domestically. But when it comes to keeping our reserve wine and blending it back into again starting in 2013, 14 through like 17, 18, 3 years, Entourage. Shane Moore is our winemaker again. He's also making Xena Crown wines. In very different respects, but his really what he talks about and what the neighbors talk about is, wow, Shane harvests early, and he says, well, you think I harvest early, but I think you harvest late. So when we get to Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, it's also about for sparkling wine is always harvested earlier typically than you want that like natural acidity to really come through.
And this one definitely shows some great acidity, wonderful kind of
definitely outstanding.
Yeah, freshness, dry notes from the acidity coming forth. Folks, I'm gonna pop that picture of the Grand Moraine, Yam Hill Carlton. This is the ABA in which this wine is from. And it is the Brut Rosé there, folks. Of course, you can see the ticker down below. But Hasna, talk about the flavors. Like, what are you getting? You love this wine. You are a huge fan of it, right?
I am a huge fan of Shane Moore's wines in general, Grand Moraine and Xena Crown, both the Conifer and the Somme, and he's phenomenal. We were talking about it earlier. I'm like, yes, we can join. The more the merrier. Come on.
Hello.
Hi, how are
you? Good to see you.
We have a big fan. We have a big fan of
everybody wants to celebrate.
Everybody wants to celebrate.
Absolutely.
Happy Oregon Wine Month. Yeah.
What's your favorite thing about Grand Moraine? Since you popped in.
I love. What are you doing? The Brut Rosé or the Chard or the Rosé? I love it.
We just started with the Brut Rosé, but you can speak to any of the wines.
Well, it's dryness. It's.
Well, you have to introduce yourself first.
I'm Brady.
Slide it a little bit more.
The Beagle team with Jackson Family Wines as well.
Indeed.
Jackson Family power today.
Yeah, slide it just a little bit more, closer to Hasna.
Come on in.
You can.
Yeah, put your face in.
That's fine.
We hear you talking, and we want your
Just
opinion.
down the street at Rose's Luxury, and that's why.
Nice.
So with the Grand Moraine Brut Rosé, I love its dryness. I love the.
I'll enjoy it for you. Hold on. You can talk. I'll enjoy it for you.
I love the
Lean up a little bit so you can pick up on your mic.
With all three great varieties represented.
Be my
Okay.
Not that close.
And when he's speaking of dryness, obviously dryness tends to talk about the sweetness level. So champagne, if you're familiar with the method champenois, after that second fermentation, when it is disgorged and you add the liquor de tirage or the kind of the sugar level of the wine, this is about 3 to 5 grams per liter, so which is on the lower side.
Yeah.
So we're talking dry when it comes to sugar levels, very fresh, very clean. Again, we have Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, and Pinot Meunier. So this is using all 3 of the traditional champagne varieties. I think, obviously, a little biased when we talk about a domestic sparkling that you can get that is made just as close to champagne as you can. This would be the one to go.
It is beautiful. It is beautiful. So the next thing I'm gonna do
What a good treat.
is, yeah, absolutely. Have Anna grab a glass in a moment for Shane. But
Oh, he gets a bottle.
absolutely. But that was the Grand Moraine Yamhill Carlton Rosé. It's so fresh, so dry, super, super clean. Made with the traditional champagne varietals, of course, in the same method as they are producing champagne, but in Willamette Valley. And I think that everything Katie mentioned about it, so much influence of the cooler winds, the breezes, the elevations, and so forth, really being able to maintain acid levels. That's kind of definitely classic, more so to what we want from a traditional style sparkling wine, and this one fits the bill for an American production. I definitely say give it a try. It's of the like quality to proper champagne. You won't be disappointed with this Brut Rosé. So check it out, folks.
Yes, and something to note, so Yamhill Carlton, we will use that a few times throughout the wineries. So Yamhill Carlton is this little, it's like an upside down horseshoe almost. On the west side is where Grand Moraine is. On the northeast side is where Willackenzie is, and then Penner-Ash Winery is on the further east side. So, so all 3 of the wineries are located in Yamhill Carlton. The Xena Crown Vineyard, which we have Xena Crown Winery, and then a Xena Crown single vineyard from Penner-Ash. When we get there, that's further south in Eola Amity Hills, which is right where the Van Duzer corridor comes in. So again, maybe we can share a vineyard map at some point, or even if it's not part of this live, because I think it's really important to see where things are grown. Where wines are grown is what's going to affect the flavor profile, the soil types. Within Willamette Valley altogether, there are a few main soil types, but mainly what we have here is sedimentary soils, these marine sedimentary soils, very sandy, rocky, well-draining type of soils. At Willackenzie, we have a couple different fault lines, so there's even variations throughout that. On the eastern side and down in the Eola Amity Hills, we have some more of the volcanic soils. So when we get to Pinot Noirs, it tends to change the flavor profiles even a little bit more. Volcanic soils for Pinot Noir are going to give you more of these red fruits, very aromatic notes. Sedimentary soils are going to give you more tannin, a little bit more of the dark fruit profiles. So it does affect all of the wines and their sense of place, but especially when we get to Pinot Noir.
Okay.
But we're on Chardonnay right now, so Grand Moraine, which is technically a single vineyard. The Pinot Meunier comes from the vineyard site outside of the winery facility, so that isn't as much. But there's about 80 some blocks that Shane is working with on the Grand Moraine estate, and around 16 of those he's kind of graded as like A+. So even this single vineyard, which is like 194 acres, he's honed in on what year after year has produced the style he's looking for, the best quality, kind of this, again, we want long hang time. We want extended time on the vine to give us complexity of flavors. So he's only using a fraction of that estate to make the Grand Moraine. So it's not just, oh, here's Grand Moraine Winery, we put it all into tank and barrel and we ferment it and make it. It is very much crafted from specific sites.
I mean, it definitely comes through. Once you get a taste of it, it's just such a beautiful, elegant wine. It's just absolutely stunning.
That's one of the things I love about Shane Moore as a winemaker, that he just places so much emphasis on the terroir. Not only just the terroir, but it's also its native landscape as well. When he describes the wine he uses, and when you get to the Xena crowd, you're gonna maybe see stuff or read stuff or feel stuff of like Cherokee tomato and huckleberry and marionberry and stuff that's very
Specific.
very
to-
specific and
So-
designated to
Local.
yeah, absolutely, very
yeah.
locally specific.
Yeah.
And again with the Grand Marine Chard, out of all the Grand Marines,
Yeah.
the Brut Rosé is beautiful. The Pinot Noir is amazing. The Chardonnay is my favorite. So like it's just a true essence of the grape. And I promise this is just like a very random like video bomb. Like, it's not planned at all. I'll get out
We
you
have fun video bombs.
I was feeling
There's nothing-
just in the neighborhood.
There's nothing better than surprises.
No, you can't leave yet, man. You're on camera now, buddy.
Now you're-
I've made
now
an
you're here.
adjustment,
Here,
and,
you need
Yeah,
your Chardonnay. You
I'll
got
join you
it?
with the Chardonnay.
Awesome.
And then I'll get out of your way.
Are you
So,
drinking my Chardonnay?
I am. Very happily.
so again, and you can even see by the label, like it looks like it's a French classic label. It's not all artsy,
Yeah.
you know, all the new, like new age, new world wines. This is about classically styling wines that are very naturally made. And
Right.
Shane likes to say, like, you know, we have this vineyard that is so perfect. There's not a lot we need to do to it. So when wines are going through fermentation, a winemaker has choices to make. So they can either choose to inoculate the fermentation with a yeast, and a lot of those yeasts are going to dictate alcohol levels, fruit flavors, whether it's buttery or not buttery. And so what Shane chooses to do is native yeast ferments. And so that can be a longer process because it's not as controlled as a yeast that you might purchase and inoculate with. So these are kind of a slower ferment. Some of it's going to go through stainless steel and then be put into barrel. Some of it's going to go through barrel fermentation. He's going to prohibit some malolactic, little bit of that, you know, whatever is happening from the stage of the vineyard. But for me, there's like this intensity, but it's also very pretty and beautiful. Like it
You
kind
can
of
do this all day.
is a-
You can talk. We'll
It
enjoy
is.
the
It
wine.
really
for
is
you.
gorgeous.
It really
The
is.
way in which the oak folds into flavors, the Chardonnay is actually still able to shine. The mineral tones, the acidity still, right, is just definitely very present. But there's weight, there's silkiness, there's real depth to the wine. This is fun. It's a lot of
I
fun.
think kind of is a lesson if you're a Chardonnay drinker, or even if you're not. Well, actually, especially if you're not,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
Because if you don't love Chardonnay that you think is domestic Chardonnay, try an Oregon Chardonnay. Because the oak profile between the three Chardonnays that we have today, Penner-Ash has the most new oak, but it's still very subtle. The way the vibrancy and this verve that you get from the acidity levels in Oregon, and the winemakers tend to use less
Right.
new oak. So this is only 6% new oak. So if you think, oh, I don't love Chardonnay, I always say keep trying, because it could be the place where it's grown, or it could also be
It's so
the
versatile.
winemaker
That's it.
style.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
Right?
you know, like such a white canvas for Chardonnay. You can literally take it to whichever way you want to take it. You can make it to this very buttery, oaky Chardonnay, or you can take it this way. It's just
It's
It's
stripped down
a-
and very lean and very
and this is
focused.
very clean, very crisp, very completely different than what a lot of people perceive Chardonnay to be, as just heavy and
Yeah.
this is just elegant and beautiful.
And it shows
So-
the true essences of the grape itself,
Right.
without
Yeah.
the secondary and tertiary flavors.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, folks, if you want something that really does drink like a, village level quality Burgundy, but from the U.S.,
Merceau.
like this one is beautiful.
Yeah, or even
Merceau,
Merceau, like-
Anya
like
Montrachet,
Shane
like
Shane
that.
has his inspiration.
Yeah.
We're
for
talking
every wine.
about it, and I
Yeah.
said, for me, the smoother note, it's more like a Merceau. It's very
Okay.
Burgundy, very.
Well, folks, Grand Moraine, Yom Hill Carlton Chardonnay 2021 is gorgeous,
And you have
amazingly
that
elegant.
here.
I have it here, folks, and yeah, there's not a lot of bottles.
And
of
he
it.
will have a lot more.
So come by what I had to bring more in for sure. But with the fun of that particular wine and how Burgundian it shows, and I love
to Chardonnay. Oh, you wanna do
Burgundian
okay.
wines.
You want to do Chardonnay?
Um,
Yeah.
Oh, are we not going to go there yet?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay.
I will
With
take
the
this
what?
opportunity to say thank you very much. Thank you for letting me brag. I really was just a neighbor. It was
What do you
not
have-
planned at
what do
all.
you
It
have
was
to
great to
do?
see you too.
Get on with it?
I do
Indeed.
have to go. I do.
We
But
love
thank you
you.
guys very much. Thank you, Bernie. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank
It
you.
was fun sharing the seat with you.
It was.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. All the best, brother. Cheers.
Thank you, Brady.
That was fun. Come on, Brady. Popped on in.
I know who's going to come in next.
Right.
Do you have other special guests?
It just may happen. You never know.
Mr.
You never know. Ooh, beautiful. Yeah, a little Lost Whiskey Club heading out the door. That's fun. Indeed.
All right.
All right. So
Now-
we are
Eric
moving to
Kramer.
another winery, right?
We line these up by winery so you can see kind of the scope of what the winery has. Most of these are in stock here in store. Some of them might need a special request. But we're hopping over to Willackenzie. So Willackenzie was founded in the early 90s by a Frenchman, Laurent, and built this winery. It's actually, so one thing to talk about with Jackson Family Wines is the family has made a very big dedication to sustainability and farming practices, soil health, and there's so many words out there, regenerative farming, all of these things that can be used. In Oregon, the big certification is LIVE, so low impact viticulture and enology. And Willackenzie was actually #1. So when you got certified, it's literally winery number 001.
Really?
The first to be certified sustainable. And then that's obviously progressed across the other wineries that we purchased. But Willackenzie, we purchased in 2016. 2017, we brought in winemaker Eric Kramer, and he has a very storied past of winemaking in Willamette Valley. So he was at Edelsheim Winery for a few years from like 2000 something to 2011. Then he was at Domaine Serene. We brought him over because obviously in Willamette Valley, we need amazing Pinot Noir winemakers, but for Jackson Family, who was very dedicated to production of cool coastal influenced Chardonnay, we needed somebody who knew what to do with Chardonnay. And so this estate has been going under some transition since 2017. We pulled out some Pinot Gris, planted some new Chardonnay blocks in some of the cooler areas, changed over maybe some of the clones of Pinot Noir that need a little bit more sunshine, so they're not doing as well in Willamette Valley. If you need sunshine, and your clone Pinot Noir or Chardonnay, it's not as good. So that's why Chardonnay is starting to become a little bit more prevalent. Like, did you have very many Oregon Chardonnays in your shop maybe 5, 10 years ago?
No.
That's a
Not as many
conversation we had
Chardonnays,
earlier,
right? I remember when literally Pinot, when I was attempting to sell Pinot, and that was a very hard thing to do before the movie Sideways, right? And we invested in some Oregon Pinot and California Pinot and all. But yeah, Chardonnay didn't come around till probably later. And still, I don't know if I see as many requests for Willamette Valley or Oregon Chardonnay as I think folks should request, especially because everyone ran from the Californian Chardonnays and have been away from that for so long. It seems like the entry back into Chardonnay for a lot of drinkers and consumers should be Willamette Valley.
Thankfully, we're seeing a lot more people. It's growing demand now.
Yeah.
As people are starting to learn more about it and seeing how different it is from the Californian Chardonnay. And
so just speaking about that, Hasna, the
Stephanie?
difference between the Grand Meringue Chardonnay and this Willackenzie Chardonnay, can you explain to the people kind of some of the characteristics that contrast in these two wines? Cheers. Let's give it a sip.
Yeah, it's delicious.
They're stylistically very, very different.
Mm-hmm.
This one has a little bit more body, a little bit more lifted. The acidity is still phenomenal in both wines. Um,
but a little dialed back compared to the first one, or does it seem it's maybe just a
I would say it's like a subtlety, like a very elegant subtlety to it. Like it's
Yeah.
and what I would, again, since I know kind of what's going on in terms of like winemaking and where, so Grey Moraine is coming from one vineyard site with multiple blocks
Yeah.
that give it some complexity, but it's still very, I call it like, again, it's not flavors of what Chardonnay would be, but it's very focused, it's very electric, it's very like, it just kind of comes in on your palate and it's like, wow.
I like that term, electric.
The Willackenzie has this, it kind of envelops your palate. You still get that freshness. There's a common thread between the two.
Indeed.
it's a little bit more voluptuous.
But what's happening with Willackenzie is the fruit sourcing is coming from, the bulk of it is coming from the Willackenzie estate, but then there's also Grey Moraine Vineyard. We have a vineyard down called Maple Grove that's quite a bit further south.
Okay.
It's like 80, 90 miles south.
Okay.
In a crown. So there's a little complexity coming from vineyard sourcing. So that's going to shift the narrative there a little bit.
Right.
And then with Eric's barrel usage, so he's using regular barriques, a little bit of the puncheons, the foudres, so different sizes of barrel. So barrel makes a little bit more impact. Still not a lot of new, but different sizes of barrel are going to give you different exposure to oak, and I think it's around like 20% new oak. So like we're just turning the dial on the volume of oak up just a touch, but not really that much new oak. We're just making it a bigger kind of part of the story.
Okay.
And then only going through partial malolactic.
Yeah.
So we're looking at two, again, different hands of winemaking, but the fruit sourcing changes.
Indeed. All right. Well, good stuff. Good stuff. Good
And
stuff.
then we'll go to
Pinner
the
Ash.
third one.
The Pinner Ash.
That's-
Absolutely.
So Pinner Ash, the
even more
interesting
different.
thing, with Jackson Family Wines, it's interesting. Like Grey Moraine, we bought the vineyard. It was called Grey Moraine. We bought the vineyard and created the winery around that vineyard. Pinner Ash and Willackenzie were two wineries that we purchased an already established winery, had reputation, had kind of a storied past of a legacy of people and place. And Pinner Ash definitely has that kind of reputation in a good way.
Right.
Lynn Pinner, Ron Ash, her husband, they started this, again, early 90s, ended up planting a vineyard estate right at the edge of Yamhill Carlton, close to Ribbon Ridge. And Chardonnay was not really a part of that program at the time. So this is on the newer side. We had to build a separate facility as a barrel aging and production facility.
So yeah, I will say Pinner Ash has also been a favorite, of some consumers. The Viognier, oh my gosh,
gosh,
phenomenal, and the Pinot.
Viognier, you have it in store because we're changing.
No, I sold out Viognier about a
in for
month
the
ago.
Viognier.
Viognier was very easy. We sold out of it really quick.
Yeah. Now on the nose, we're kind of building maybe two more luscious style of Chardonnay, right?
Yeah. So now
Definitely
we're again turning that dial up a little bit on new oak. So this is about 30% new oak. But I wouldn't even just tie it to that. There's just a little more like fruit forward nature. Where on the other two I get more of these like citrus notes. Now we're going to just, and I wouldn't, it's kind of that bridge between Oregon and California. It's
Right.
Like, okay, this is bridging, there's opulence,
Correct.
there's texture, there's more richness. Because I think vocabulary is very important when we talk about Chardonnay.
Yeah.
Because you can say, and often I do events with consumers at wine dinners or places, and they're like, oh, this is buttery. And it's like, well, does it actually taste like the flavor butter, or are you feeling the texture of butter?
Yeah, I think they may sometimes associate the texture with the butter.
Right.
But usually it's the wood notes and how that kind of transfers vanillins and kind of this richer popcorn buttery note. But I think there's also something that is an association with the butter and that buttered popcorn thing that is specific to Chardonnay. Other characteristics of Chardonnay, maybe within the wine process, to bring out a lot more of that flavor. But Is this also natural yeast?
No, but the interesting thing with this is so there is more new oak,
Okay.
but Kate Ayers, our winemaker, who took over for Lynn Penerash in 2018, I think was about when we handed over the reins to her fully. She's using some concrete eggs.
Oh, for this?
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, so like
Oh, that's
9,
pretty interesting.
10% of it
Oh, that's pretty interesting.
for being fermented in concrete eggs, and concrete is very neutral
I'm sorry.
vessel to ferment in. It's shaped like an egg, and so really gravity takes over. So when it's going through the fermentation and the things are bubbling up and it's starting to like rotate and move throughout the egg, you're doing lees stirring basically naturally. So that's where there's texture here, where I think again the buttery flavor versus buttery texture come into play. It's very mouthfeeling.
Oh, it definitely.
But it doesn't taste like
It's just phenomenal.
Absolutely.
butter, and so I think we get some of those. Even earlier we were talking about this like kind of banana, like underripe banana skin, peel kind of thing.
Yeah, nothing offensive though, right? But just this, I drink rum, so you hear about banana, and it's like
well, that's a bit different.
so yeah. Any of my rum fans, Jamaican rum, agricole rum fans out there, nothing offensive, right? As far as the banana, but just these layers of elegance in a soft, kind of nuanced way
And like
that
lemon
really
curd or like lemon.
I get a lot of that
kind of thing.
lemon meringue,
Like tart tangy lemon.
There's so
richness.
much going on, and just every sip you get.
Once again, folks, so much fun. This wine we've done well with it. We still have a few bottles left in shop, which is great. Come on down and check out the Penner Ash Chardonnay 2022
A lot more to come.
vintage. All right. So now I think it's time, huh?
We're
Transitioning
back
to,
to Grand Marine.
but please, if you
Is this the Pinot
are
Noir?
a Chardonnay fan, or even if you're not a Chardonnay fan,
Try it.
try an Oregon. Get at least one of these Chardonnays and try it. It will really kind of blow your mind when it comes to what maybe your opinion is, or even if you do love oaky, buttery California Chardonnay, this still has enough body and texture for you. It's going to just take you to a different place. So I think it's something
Just the
it's something to
flavors
think
are-
about. Since Oregon Chardonnay it's starting to really make its way out there. It's a great thing to experience.
Oregon Chardonnays are absolutely phenomenal. Definitely worth a try.
Have to agree. All right, but now we're back on Grand Meringue, the Yamhill Carlton Pinot Noir. This is the 2021 vintage. Let's go. I so enjoyed the Chardonnay. So Burgundian, the electricity, as you mentioned there, Katie, of that particular wine. I just wonder how much I'm going to enjoy this Pinot Noir.
Oh,
Cheers. Cheers.
I try to think of like textural words versus flavors, because I don't always like to tell people, oh, you're
Correct.
tasting. Maybe some,
And I think that's
some
very
folks like
important,
to hear
though.
that, but I don't want to say you're going to taste apple or this or that.
Yeah.
It's for me, textural components of wine are really what draw me to them.
right.
Texture and structure. Yeah. Absolutely. But wow.
All right.
What are you getting?
All right.
I mean, you just took a like.
Mr. Williams.
Nice. Don't do that. You're the
Mr.
expert.
Williams,
I'm just
please,
the guy here
please.
drinking wine.
But these are also the people that trust
Dr.
you.
Williams, please
so we're
let us.
telling our
They hear
stories.
from me every day. They hear from me every day. It's about
You
these
have
ladies. It's about these
We
ladies.
always enjoy hearing Mr. Williams just
Gosh, the
dive into
black
the
cherry,
deep core of wine and telling
the
us every.
wood, the slight toast of
Look at
the
the
oak
passion,
there
passion.
just comes through in such an elegant way. It offers just a hint of a once again kind of the sweet cherry like note, this sweet black cherry note. A bit of toast from the oak, some spice, with spice.
It's like just a hint of oak, like it's this
It's
nice,
not over there, yeah.
just like it's like wrapped in just a
And
thin layer of like a caramelization or something.
So we're talking about
Mr.
French
Shane
oak here.
Moore, You're phenomenal.
French oak here,
oak.
right?
And actually, all
And
these wineries
Jackson
are
all French
family.
oak,
Very,
absolutely, and slightly like what's the age of the oak? Approximately, slightly used oak that's not going to overpower.
Yeah, Shane uses a
But
lot of neutral oak, and so neutral
yeah,
oak being 4 years or older.
okay,
This one is around, I believe, like the 25% new range, which is
okay,
pretty
yeah,
okay. I mean,
yeah,
actually, all three of
enough to give it structure.
what would we have? 5 Pinots actually, but they're all other than the Vina Crown Penerash Pinot, which is a little bit higher, but they're all in like the 25-30% range. So,
But is that usually standard for Pinot Noir so that way it doesn't overwhelm? Or what's
that's
the.
what I've come to find. I mean, again, every winemaker has their freedom to do what they want, but whether it's Russian River Valley, Oregon, Santa Barbara, for the most part, they're all in that like 20, maybe 40%. I don't see as much because Pinot Noir being a thin-skinned grape and being so delicate and pretty, like if you put much more than
It would just overwhelm it. It would
40%
just
you
take
will.
away from the essence of the
Both
grape.
on the finish, your palate finish. This is a full wine, but it stays so.
It lingers a lot. For
But
months.
there's such depth to it, but it stays playful on the palate and kind of
I was gonna say,
higher
that's what I'm
tone
about to
than
say,
you
like
would.
dance it.
Yeah, it
I'm like-
dances on the palate. It's like little feet just dancing, right?
And I
But
just
take,
opened this wine, so this is
Like take Luxardo's like brandy maraschino cherries and give it to you in a dry form. Like
Oh yeah.
for me right now, it's almost like this
Yeah, not like a candy
beautiful
liqueur cherry, but like a dried.
man.
dry, but it has to have the depth that like the Luxardo has, right? But dry and fresh. I get a little bit of that on, especially into the finish. That cherry is just so beautiful, but it's warm, but crunchy at the same time.
This is such
Crunchy
a
Take
good.
away the
So-
sweetness, though. I'm not trying to, yeah.
Oregon, Oregon, and I love Santa Barbara. I'm a little biased because I lived down in that area for a while.
You
But
live
they
out
both-
there, so
they
don't go there.
Oh,
Shout out Biggie Smalls. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Okay.
Wow. Okay, no followers from Ladies.
but like a lot of times we talk about crunchy red fruits. So crunchy red fruits would be like cranberries or pomegranates,
Yeah.
things like that. These like sour, tart red fruits versus Luxardo cherry. So when you have both of those, crunchy red fruits and like a dried Luxardo cherry style, you're like, oh, this is very compelling. You're getting so much interesting that acidity,
Such a gorgeous
right,
wine.
tart fruit, yeah,
Yeah.
and that richness. So.
Absolutely. And this is a 2021 vintage, folks.
And
So
both
it's
Chardonnay.
really, yep, they're both
Same
2021s.
vintage.
Absolutely. Don't see that as often, actually, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. But it's refined, and you all,
Really well.
the winemaking has created a wine that you don't necessarily have to drink like right away. I think that these wines will certainly
They can
age
definitely-
beautifully. The crunchiness of the Pinot, the electricity of the Chardonnay, they're fun to drink right now. And I think for food pairing, especially as we move deeper into the spring and it becomes summertime or what have you, they are such refined, elegant, quality wines, but still very easy and approachable, I think, during this time of the year. But if you like,
Oh, I've had
You
some
will
of these
not
that
be
are like
disappointed.
10 years old, like
Or-
20.
Or
Yeah,
if you just
absolutely.
want to sit on the patio and enjoy a beautiful
2015.
meal, this is definitely the wine to go with.
there you go. Absolutely. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous is this Grand
picturing
Moran
myself
Yam Hill
outside.
Carlton Noir 2021. And I will say I am a fan of Yam Hill Carlton.
It breaks my heart to
I love
put
Yam
some
Hill
of these
Carlton.
wines. It really breaks my
There's
heart.
such a balance with kind of the ability to get the fruit ripened to have a fruit profile that's ripened in a way that still that doesn't become overpowered and like too extracted and too large of a level of residual sugar, which can sometimes create either the sweetness level and or just such kind of body. So it's kind of has this very nice elegance and approachability. Yam Hill Carlton, I think, from my experience across the board. And I would say that these probably position themselves with a slightly higher acid level than some other Yam Hill Carlton wines that I've had. which structurally I think may give it just
And longevity.
a
for aging.
longevity for aging that can be really, really interesting.
And I mentioned, Shane harvesting earlier compared to the neighbors. But the Chardonnay, he's harvesting at 19 to 21 bricks. In respect to other neighbors or some of our other wineries, typically Chardonnay you're harvesting at like maybe 23, 24, somewhere around there. And some in California even higher than that. So, I mean, you can see on Chardonnay especially, I don't know exactly where he's at on Pinot Noir.
Right.
And then for sparkling, he's harvesting like right when the grapes go through veraison, which is when they start to actually color.
Right.
So that's
It's
early,
really
'cause
early,
it's
yeah.
not
It's
going
really
past
early, yeah.
ripeness. Yeah, so really, really early on this. So that's that like vibrancy and focused fruit, and there's still complexity because sometimes people think they tie ripeness to complexity and flavor and intensity, but these still have intensity. But like you said, it kind of comes from everything.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. So let's
Why
see
don't you do
here.
everything side by side? and
Kinsey
see the
So
Estate.
that's the estate. So this is we have the Willamette Valley.
Okay.
So that's the
Gotcha.
estate. So there's two different Pinot Noirs from Willackenzie, two main ones that we distribute out of the market. The
estate
one
and-
with the white label versus the navy blue label. The white label is our Willamette Valley. So 60% comes from the Willackenzie estate in Yamhill Carlton. The other 40% comes from our Jory Hills Vineyard in Dundee.
Ah,
So that's what
okay.
we're tasting right now.
There you go.
Then there's
Okay.
the estate, or I guess it kind of has like navy blue and gray. Our estate vineyard is 100% from the estate.
Okay.
So it
Would
would
that
probably
be
be this one.
That's
No,
the
that's
chart.
white.
Chard.
Yeah. I think it's
No,
this was 2021, right?
the first one.
2021.
The first one.
Yeah.
No, that's
2021.
Emery.
Oh, I guess it's this one here, but just a different
We might-
picture.
No,
Oh,
that's
right.
no,
That's the
Cuvée,
estate
no.
Cuvée.
Oh, that's a state coupe. Okay.
We might not have the right picture for everybody, but do you have
All
the
right.
Pinot Noir? I know you have the Chardonnay in house here.
Yep,
Do you
yep, yep.
have the Pinot?
It's that one.
Not right
Oh no, go back, go back, go back.
Un momento, por favor.
Sí, señor. Sí, señor. Okay, no.
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 Oh, this one.
Is
this
it?
one.
Oh, that's 22. So
This one. It's just the label. It's the picture's not right.
that's Pinot Meunier. We
Yeah.
understand that everybody in Washington D.C.
Well,
Pinot
I'm going
Meunier, and everybody
to
loved it.
I'm going to go back to the Chardonnay.
Just picture
Pick.
that
Yeah,
with
that's
right.
Pinot Noir.
Exactly, but just with Pinot Noir, a red wine, a darker label, a darker foil as well, right? Absolutely. So this is 2021. I don't know. I think y'all may have done a little bit of a label change
There's
on there
been a
between
little
21 and 22.
transition.
Yeah, absolutely. But this is Willackenzie. How am I showing that ticker? Willackenzie Pinot Noir, folks, and it's the 2021 vintage. Excuse the Chardonnay picture up on the live right now. But
So-
yeah, wow.
Like different depth. And so the estate, so again, 60% comes from the estate.
Someone may smell this and think, is this a Russian River Valley Pinot?
There's some
Like just the body,
Yeah.
in depth
right?
that
and that's something I think just with Willackenzie itself, just having a little bit more roundness,
Right.
especially compared to some of the others. Like this is an easy transition for a Californian wine drinker.
this would be the step over.
Very easy transition, right?
So one thing that's interesting is our vineyard estate at Willackenzie is broken up. There's Emery, there's Kiana, there's different slope levels. When you're in Willamette Valley wine country, the majority of the top sites are between like 400 and kind of 800 at the most feet elevation. So we don't get super high, but there can be steeper slopes. And there's certain pockets, there's a lot of like conifer trees, all around surrounding some of the vineyards. So you get more shade or you get more cooling effects because it's kind of like encapsulating these areas.
Right.
So every area is going to be so different. On our estate fruit, this is sedimentary soils. I think I mentioned earlier, there's 2 fault lines. So even between these fault lines in different areas. There's different makeup of soils. But when you're on these steep slopes, your vines are struggling just a little bit. They're working a little harder. They get more intense, a little more tannin. And so there tends to be more dark fruit profiles on sedimentary soils versus volcanic.
Right.
So there's 40% coming from the volcanic soils of Dundee Hills. So there's two different things going on there. But what Eric has really changed from this winery when he came on board is using some smaller fermentation tanks, and then also each block having its own open top stainless steel fermenter, which is very rare. So in Oregon versus California, say, the harvest window is usually around like 2 or 3 weeks.
Okay.
Somewhere in the beginning to the middle or end of September. And when that's happening, if you want your fruit to macerate and be in tank for 3 weeks, like Eric does,
Right.
but your harvest window is that small, that would mean that you'd have to kick out fruit from a tank
Right.
to go into barrel to get another block of fruit into a tank if you didn't have enough tanks. So he
Gotcha,
has a
okay.
separate tank available for every block of our Pinot Noir. So he can
Wow.
adhere to his philosophy of how he wants to let the Pinot Noir macerate on the skins, starts fermenting down to like 8 bricks while they're doing punch downs, and then once it gets to that certain sugar level, then he kind of just like gently lets the cap come into the wine. So it's a very intentional Pinot Noir production style
Interesting.
that is going to give you some concentration and texture and tannin from the skins, but then as again it starts to ferment to dryness, he's letting that soften up a little bit. So again, very different winemaking styles, different estates. Grand Gramaraine's on the west side, Willa Kenzie's more on the northeast side. We've got some volcanic soils going on with so totally different animals when it comes to style and place.
Yeah, absolutely. This is beautiful.
Isn't it?
I mentioned, aromatically for sure. The fruit itself that's really displayed so in a much more abundant way compared to the Grand Meringue. But then, structurally, wow. The
Tannin,
volcanic soil, the tannins,
yeah.
This is pretty neat. The Willa Kenzie production, there are some individuals out there that may have had the
Pinot Meunier.
Pinot Meunier, absolutely. When we were buying this Pinot Meunier, and just phenomenal. Of course, they are
was a
just
fan
making
favorite for
amazing
a while.
wines, but this Pinot Meunier was so very special. Getting a new appreciation for this Pinot right now. As we said, I didn't
It
realize
really
it was
is.
this good.
And I
Wow,
feel
in a
like
2021.
it just gets, I don't know, Eric Kramer just found a way to even elevate it even more. He took Willa Kenzie to a whole different new level.
And we opened this at what, like 11:30
And-
or so. So we opened this at 11:30. So we've
And
had it
this
open
wine
for a
just-
few hours.
It gives
So,
and gives
I
it
feel like it's at
peak now.
peak right now. I know you said we just opened the Grand Marnier right before we started.
But-
Right.
Well, I am
But it's
really enjoying
so
that.
fun just to see side by side all of these wines from the same
So true. Sorry, you all are not here to taste along
Well,
with me, but
But most
you
of
know,
them
there
are
Join it
most
for
of them are in store.
there
right?
you go. There you go.
That's
They
the
are.
best part.
They
No,
are.
not all. Not all coming
They
your way.
are.
Listen.
Okay, well,
rest
that
of
was the
Hasna
Willa
has
Kenzie
to
Estate
say.
Pinot Noir 2021.
Hasna has to say.
Folks, I think it really draws that wonderful bridge between California and Willamette, but it certainly does into the mid palate and into the finish, especially as it starts to open up. You're getting certainly something special there, and that just screams Willamette Valley and the greatness that it can have as far as the potential of the wine structurally, but also so approachable. So it's the best of both worlds. And I'm super interested now to get into the Pinner Ash. You know why? Because there was a Pinner Ash that we carried some time ago.
This is
And,
different. We can compare
oh
side by
my
side. This
Gosh,
is different.
it was
Have you
so
tasted this one?
popular.
No.
Oh, which one do we have now?
So
This is Zena Crown.
Zena
Oh, this is in a
Vineyard.
crown. Oh, okay.
We've tried the
Okay, so-
Willamette and we've tried the State.
So this is Pinot
We have not
Ash
tried this
Zena
one.
Crown. Okay.
And this is how we connected with Penner-Ash, actually, is because we bought the Zena Crown Vineyard in 2013. Lynn Penner-Ash had been purchasing fruit from the Zena Crown, so we continued that relationship. And then again, 2016, I think it was 2015 or 16, when we purchased the winery from her and Ron. But this is how we got to know her personally. Was from
Also,
buying the
to
fruit.
mention one thing that's really, really incredible with the Jackson family wines, once they purchase any winery, they usually just keep everyone that's at the winery. It's not like they just purchase a winery and then they want to revamp it and just bring a whole new team. They just keep it as is, and that's just absolutely amazing.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Well, I
Good,
can't
good, good,
wait
good.
to
Ooh.
try this one for certain.
Listen, I know you.
Hmm.
So
I
the
don't-
Penner-Ash, so there's Willamette Valley Pinot
Ça va,
Noir,
toi?
and I think you have
Um,
that
Ça
here,
va, toi?
correct?
wait 1 second. Mike, hit the orange button. Press the orange button. Just press the orange button. One time.
Okay.
There you go. She should be good. All right. So this is the what's this one called again?
The Zena Crown.
Zena Crown.
Right there.
Okay.
Oh, but that's
Pinot
18.
Noir. Zena 18.
Oh, there's 21.
Zena 21. Okay. There we go. See? Yep. Perfect.
There we go.
I'm sorry, everyone who's probably
I am
hearing a
technically
bunch of.
So the Penner-Ash Willamette Valley Pinot Noir is comprised of 10 different vineyard sites, a couple of which are vineyards that Jackson family owns, and the other ones are vineyards that Lynn Penner-Ash has been working with for a couple of decades. And so by way of maintaining a legacy, with relationships within the growers. So Oregon's a very collaborative winemaking region.
It is. It is.
There's like, they have winemaker
Press the yellow button on the bottom.
symposiums where they all share their best practices when it comes to winemaking. People buy fruit from each other. Right next door to us is the Shea Vineyard.
Oh,
we do
nice.
a Shea Vineyard, single vineyard as well.
Okay.
So the Zena Crown Vineyard, most of our single vineyards are in like the 300 to 500 case range.
Okay.
So very small production.
Okay.
But the style of blending that takes place, so even if it's the 10 vineyard site blend of the Willamette Valley,
Mm-hmm.
the same integrity and nuances of like finding the perfect blend still happen even with the single vineyards. Like we could buy the fruit from Zena Crown for Penner-Ash and say, okay, here, this all goes into Zena Crown Penner-Ash. But our winemaker, Kate Ayers, and Ashley, her assistant winemaker, they will taste every single morning, even to blend the perfect composition of a single vineyard. So to spend the same amount of time as you do for a couple thousand case Willamette Valley blend versus a 300 case single vineyard blend, to do that same meticulous process for both is not always done.
Mm-hmm.
So it's finding that perfect, like the barrel coopers and different clones that are planted on each estate and which part of the estate they're using. So, but like even the aromatics now going to this, like when I go to Zena Crown, which then the last Pinot Noir we have is the Zena Crown Conifer.
Okay.
It's like, if I close my eyes, I feel like I'm standing in the middle of the Pinot Noir vineyard and I'm smelling the cold air coming through
All right.
with like damp soil, the conifer trees, like all of this, like it kind of just envelops you with this. I mean, it smells quite different from the Willackenzie or the Grand Marine.
Completely different.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. Yeah, this is gorgeous. Now,
What are you
I
getting?
definitely
Like,
get
what are you
into.
thinking? What
Well,
happens when
I
you-
don't know. I don't
Smiling.
know.
You're just happy and smiling.
I'm getting into like more terroir like characteristic. With this one, it just seems like it has more guts. Yeah, like this is
And like it's
becoming
very
more
mouthfeel. Like,
serious. Yeah.
it doesn't just like lightly coat your palate and then kind of fade away like some Pinot Noirs. There's like a concentration that's there.
Mhm.
And the color, I mean, the intensity, it's not quite as transparent. So there's definitely some good skin contact here. The Penarash Winery facilities is beautiful gravity flow. So is Mackenzie as well.
Mhm. Mhm. Mm. Yeah, with this one, I don't know. There's a little less. There's such a depth of flavor and concentration, although it's not, you know, super
You can
kind
still
of
see
extracted.
through it, but it's
But the
But it's still
actual
more
fruit
concentrated.
itself, the Pinot itself, seems like it's concentrated
Yeah.
varietally. Like the varietal
It's more
comes through in
serious.
such
It's
an
more structural.
intense way,
There's
as opposed to
so much to
maybe
take
the
from
higher
every
tone
sip. Yeah.
and or the
Yeah.
well, no, I should really say the lower tone of the fruit, maybe that gives you the fruit flavors. This one is like varietal Pinot intensity. This probably drinks more Burgundian in that sense, in that Venice sense,
Okay,
than
that's interesting.
the others that I tried.
It probably reminds me the most of when I ever first sipped on an Oregon Pinot Noir. Like, just there's an aromatic that I'm like brings me back to you know when you have like those sensory
Yeah.
memories. It like
Okay.
reminds me of like
Yeah.
Okay,
like the first time I ever had an Oregon Pinot Noir.
was it this good?
Definitely not.
Yeah.
When I first had Oregon Pinot Noir, one Jackson Family Wines didn't have any
mean,
Oregon wineries.
That's
and
honestly,
two, my
That's
budget was
good.
smaller
Honestly,
than these.
Speaking
so
from
it
the
was like,
VP,
yeah,
folks of
yeah.
education, that's good right there. Absolutely.
working for
Delicious. Pinot Ash. I've never tried the Zena Crown. I am a huge fan of like just Pinot Ash Pinot, which there was a basic Pinot Ash Pinot that we used to get.
Well,
William
Yeah.
That
Valley,
was
you can still
phenomenal.
get access to it.
Is it
Pinot,
around?
Pinot, and the
'Cause,
Oregon map. Yes.
like just the basic was unbelievable, and
Still
then
is.
it was
We
out of
still
stock for a long time.
well, we're expecting
That was
stock.
Very
2020 because
long time.
2020
We did not
Yeah,
make
it
any
was
wines
long.
with
for
the
the
fires,
fires.
we
Yeah,
did not
correct.
make any wine because we didn't
There you
want
go.
to have anybody question the integrity
Mhm.
of the wine because of the fires. And so we were out, for like a year and a half on
Mhm.
Penarash Pinot.
Mhm.
But I will tell you, going around and traveling around the nation, it was
Mhm.
one of those Pinot Noirs. When I said Penarash Pinot Noir is
It's
back in
the-
stock, they would say,
Wow, wow, wow.
Mm-mm.
Wow. Okay. All right.
I didn't know if we were going.
Mm-mm.
He's celebrating the Pinot, the
Mm-mm.
Pinot Ash Pinot Noir.
Hey,
We're
it's,
going back to
what's this month?
Oregon Wine Month.
Come
Oregon.
on now. So yeah, fight the
Oregon.
power.
Oregon Wine Month.
Absolutely no apologies for that. But yeah,
Oh.
continue with what you were saying.
What's happening to my phone too?
But Penarash, that Pinot Noir, once we got back in stock and I told anybody that it was back in stock,
Mm-hmm.
I need it because the consistency of style, again, that legacy of making wine for so
I mean-
long, vineyard
Yes.
sourcing.
That
Yes.
is such a
Tie all
good
of that
wine
together.
that it's so easy to see why it sells out so fast. It's not.
Without a doubt. Now, what did you just pour me?
So this is Zena Crown.
We're back to Mr. Shane Moore.
So same winemaker from Grand Marais.
So Z with a Z or an
On
X?
first.
Z with a Z.
Okay.
But what's funny, so the Zena Crown Vineyard, again, Penarash Zena Crown Vineyard.
Now
Hartford
this is-
Court also does, it's called Zena Warrior Princess.
oh,
Okay.
that one's-
Is a couple of blocks. So this vineyard site it's over 100 acres. So there's some significant acreage. On the east side is more volcanic soils, on the west side more sedimentary soils, and on the middle is kind of it all crosses together. So there's a lot of nuances of clone type and soil type, but you're right in the middle of that Van Duzer corridor,
Okay.
which is the one part of the Coast Range that is open to the Pacific Ocean. So the winds that howl through there are intense. This is one of the longer growing kind of regions, growing time, where the grapes have time to mature because of how cool it is. Vines shut down if it's very, very windy.
Okay.
So then it's going to take them longer to ripen. And then also Pinot Noir being thin-skinned, as the wind is howling through, it's going to have to build up a little bit thicker skins because you're trying to protect yourself from the wind. And so there's a lot of things that make this Eola Amity Hills area very interesting. This is the conifer. So where Shane is making the Grand Moraine, and when we tasted those, it's like, wow, these are like kind of inspired by Burgundy and actual Champagne, more Merceau like Volnay, things like that. The philosophy behind Zena Crown is more of this seasonal type of aspect. So
and this is more of like the summer, spring.
so conifer is the name of this specific wine. So conifer ties into summer. The sum, that one is the autumn or fall time frame, and slow winter. So like this gets destemmed. It's more fresh. It's about the fruit. It's a little bit
and just the noses.
But like once you smell this, it's like we just left the entire, because you can tell Yamhill Carlton. We came to Zena Crown with the Penarash, and it's different, but
completely different. But this is very try to smell.
I will, absolutely. Well, I'm excited because I
Very
love what
distinct,
they.
very distinct smell. Very. The nose is phenomenal.
Wow! Now we get into smoky, a
Right.
little bit more rusted, a little bit more barn.
Woody.
Yeah.
But I also get like, and again, since this wine is tied to summer, what I kind of get outside of the typical ideas of Eola Amity Hills, I get some of this like blood orange or like a citrusy, like a not like citrusy like lemon lime, but like that those orange and grapefruit kind of citrus.
The orange, yes,
It's like a burnt orange or like a star anise.
but it's giving me right now kind of a smokiness of an old fashioned.
We craving something?
Like an old fashioned, with
Are
the
we?
orange,
That's
a
how
little
we
bit of
did it?
bitters, but it's smoked.
But it
right?
does.
No,
it's
that's
rich.
a stretch. That's a stretch, folks.
It's so rich. There's
Yep.
I really apologize for all of you that cannot taste it right now.
I wish everybody had this
It
tell you.
is.
8-pack of wine. That'd be an epic
We are,
8-pack of wine.
I know. If you really like anyone.
The epic 8-pack.
There we go.
I love the way you just did that. The epic 8-pack. Folks, Chats Liquors, go to chatsdc.com and you may see an epic 8-pack of the Jackson family wines that you can
Featured
purchase.
Katie W.
Indeed, yes, absolutely. K-Dub.
K-Dub.
Oh my gosh.
So
Yeah, here
that's
we totally switch gears.
Like just
That's
very like
within-
thought-provoking. Like all
This
the wines
is-
are delicious, but this one just makes you go like, oh.
Okay, well, this is
But
a
this is-
huge.
I don't even know the price on this one. I haven't looked at it yet. Like maybe I
You
did
would be
take a
actually
peek.
shocked. You would
Maybe
be
I
shocked.
did take a peek.
You would
Yeah,
think
but
it's
this
a
is
lot
where-
more than what it is. But
Yeah.
Around like 100.
This is where that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
This is where you say, "Oh yeah, this wine is over $100."
Yeah.
This is like one of those
Right.
wines where it's like,
this is definitely
okay,
not something you're gonna find by the
But is it though? Is it in reality?
not a
Are the
charge.
deals that we could work?
Not
like,
a
could that
charge.
put this under $100?
30%.
But definitely
If
when
you
you
do an
taste this
8-pack.
wine, it's just
The
like
fabulous 8-pack.
This is all one price.
I'm gonna use ourselves.
indeed.
This is just stunning. But I mean, Shane is phenomenal. Cheers to you.
Cheers. Cheers to
Billboard-
Shane. Thank you,
Billboard
brother.
number 2.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like him.
Excuse me.
Well, I mean, this is our lineup, but within each winery. So Grand Moraine, these are the main 3. Penarash, again, we talched about Viognier. There being our Willamette Valley Pinot Noir. Tina Crown. There's 3 different Pinot Noirs, Willa Kenzie. I mean, there's a lot of exciting things that will come to be from Jackson Family Wines. Willa Kenzie starting to produce a sparkling wine.
I'll get to see
A
that soon.
lot of, we do have a Pinot Gris that's going to be coming out, not from any of these wineries, called Unsanctioned. So, we didn't just get into Willamette Valley and just stop there. There's a lot of new things that are exciting to come as well.
Thank you so much for everything. Thank you so
Yeah,
much, Katie.
So fun.
It's been unbelievable having you here and getting to taste all of these phenomenal wines with you. And
I'm just thankful that they already carry half of these because they're chats. Is it chats with chats? Is that what we're doing?
yep, chat with chats. Yep, chats with chats. Yep.
Questioning some of these other wines.
Absolutely, folks. If you're interested, drop me a DM if
Yep.
it's.
And if you want me to come back here on Saturday again,
Oh yeah,
I'll be
that's
here.
always fun.
Oh, do
It's
you come
always
on Saturday?
it's always fun when Hasna's here. But certainly drop me a DM if you're interested in any of these. They are fun wines. Excuse me. My allergies are getting the best of me right now. We'll see you within the next 7 days, folks, for another live. Thank you to Katie.
Thank you.
to Hasna, representing Jackson Family
Thanks for
Wines.
bringing me
These
here.
3 wines, or 4 wines, the
Four.
Grand Moran, Pinner Ash,
That was
Willa
8.
Kenzie, and Xena Crown. Fun
Got it.
times always. We'll see you within 7 days, folks. Cheers.
okay, are we off?